Okay, a train, gosh. A plane is traveling on a true bearing of 30 degrees from A to B. I want you to start by drawing a picture of this. Does your picture look like my picture? Now, it's really important when we're answering these questions that we pay attention to where we're coming from and where we're going to, because they're about to flip it in part B. But for part A, it's pretty straightforward. What is the compass bearing on which the plane is flying from A to B? For A, we can say north, 30 degrees east. Fantastic. Okay, so here they've inverted it. Now we want the true bearing of B to A. So if you were at B and you wanted to look in the direction of A, what is the true bearing you would have to face? If you start facing north and you turn clockwise 90 degrees, then you're facing east. So if we draw a little northeast, west, southwest cross there. Just real quick, can you tell me what this angle is here? It's 30. What's the reason we would give to say that that angle is 30? That's right. Alternate angles, if I can spell it right. From north, how far do we have to turn clockwise until we're looking in that direction? So the answer we're looking for is going to be the angle that we have to turn from north until we're facing in that direction. That's our true bearing. 210 degrees, true, good. And finally, what is the compass bearing? If you were facing north and you turned 30 degrees to the east, that would be like if you were at A and you were facing towards B. But the question's asking not the bearing of A to B. It's asking the bearing of B to A. Right? So you got to think, where are you standing? You're not standing at A. You're standing at B, and you're trying to face towards A. So is A northwards or southwards? Good. Are we going to turn to the east or to the west? Good. And how much are we going to turn towards the west? Good. So the compass bearing of B to A is south, 30 degrees west. How do you feel about that? You don't look very happy about it. Absolutely. The hardest thing about these questions is exactly that. It's so easy to answer it from the wrong place, looking in the wrong direction. So you've really hit the nail on the head with what the challenge is. And that's why, even though this question is so simple, I always would start a question like this with a diagram. The diagram is invaluable. It saves you so many easy mistakes just because you can look at it. But you also have to read the question very careful and look for words like to, or if there's a word like from or of. Those words are really critical in telling you where you're standing and where you need to be facing. Is that big enough? Can you see that? Okay. The diagram shows the position of P, Q, and R relative to S. In the diagram, R is northeast of S, Q is northwest of S, and the angle PSR is 155 degrees. Okay, everything that I read is shown on this diagram. Are you comfortable with all of that? What is the true bearing of R from S? The 155 is not what we need. It's not necessarily clear what we need unless we read the question again very carefully. And this is a part of the question that is going to help us here. When it says R is northeast of S, it's not just saying vaguely northeast. It's saying it's the specific direction that we call northeast. Yeah, absolutely. 045 degrees true. Okay, what is the true bearing of Q from S? Good. 315 degrees true. Now the fun one, this one will involve the angle that's marked on the diagram. What is the true bearing of P from S? All right, I'm happy to jump in and help you, but For now, just take your time and think about it. No rush. 200 degrees true, absolutely. All right, the bearing of E from D is north 38 east. Okay, I can see that on the diagram. F is east of D. Okay, so I can see it's directly east. And the angle DEF is 87 degrees. Okay, I see that on the diagram too. Find the values of X and Y. Excellent. Perfect. Okay, what is the compass bearing? Now, page, close attention to this, of E from F. Not from E to F. Of E from F. You got to pay a lot of attention to that word from. 49 is the angle in your answer, but for a compass bearing, we need a little bit of window dressing around it. What do we say our compass bearing is? I heard 45, but I'm going to write 49 because I know what you meant. And now they ask us, what is the true bearing? And again, it's of E from F. So if we mark on the diagram, we are looking for, that's right, 311 degrees true. Fantastic. Riley travels from X to Y. Thank goodness they put an arrow in the diagram to make that easy. For 125 kilometers on a bearing of north 32 degrees west. Okay, so they haven't labeled the distance, but we can see the bearing and the direction. How far did Riley travel due north? So what they're asking for is, what is the distance she's traveled in the north direction? Yes, this is where trigonometry comes in. Let me just work this out with you. So this is 32 degrees inside there, so I could say cos 32 equals y, I'm going to use that for the vertical distance, over 125. So 125 cos 32. You said 106 degrees? I mean, kilometers. Excellent. That doesn't matter. That's totally inconsequential. I just used y because it's my instinct if it's a vertical line. All right, now, how far did Riley travel due west? So this is almost exactly the same question. Yep, that's right. If you wanted to find the westward distance using cosine, you would have to find the other inside angle of the triangle. You could use tan. The reason I would avoid using tan is that 106 kilometers isn't exactly 106 kilometers. Now, to be fair, it's like 106.00 something kilometers. But I would avoid using tan because it means we're using a number that we have already rounded. And that could potentially introduce a rounding error into our answer. And so it might throw our final answer off a little bit. But let's have a look at 11 now. A ship sails 5 kilometers west, then 5 kilometers south. Draw a diagram. Good, good. All right, I like your instincts. So we have a starting position. I'll just draw up here. From our starting position, we can look north, east, west, or south. Right, so we're never starting at north, but wherever, I mean, I guess unless it's the North Pole, but wherever we start, we can always look some distance north. So from there, we go 5 kilometers west. And then from this position, we go 5 kilometers south. It will be south something. This dotted line here is the direction from the original position. So you're right that it's as though we're facing south, and then we have to turn to face in that direction. So we say, okay, let's face south. Which direction do we have to turn until we're facing in the correct direction? Turning east would be turning in this direction. First we look to the south and then we turn towards the west. South 45 west. Excellent. And what will be the true bearing? That's right. Starting at north and turning clockwise. Excellent. 225 degrees true. Fantastic. All right. We'll leave it there.